Hello, Steve. How are you?
Aaron, how are you?
Very well, thank you. You made my weekend seeing your face.
Yeah, when I saw the invite came from you, I was like, yes.
Very small world, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So, in the interest of time, I will kick off. So, Dow, if you're okay to keep admitting people into the room in the interim. But welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out on your Fridays to join us. Grab your teas and coffees now if you haven't already. We'll give a few seconds for more people to join, and then we'll kick off very, very soon. Just a heads up, the session is being recorded. We will share that on after. Alrighty, I'm going to kick off now. Thanks all for joining. We'll keep this relatively tight, as it is only a 30-minute session. It will be mostly Chris, our CTO and co-founder, running a live demo of Solo. I'll do the intro and hand over to Chris for the main event. Then we'll leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end. If anything comes to mind as we go, please feel free to drop it in the chat. The team from Eclipse AI is on the webinar, and we'll pick up any questions live, or we can follow up with you after as well. So yeah, relatively short agenda. A bit about who we are for those of you who don't know. We're a team of people who've been in the ServiceNow space since the inception of the platform. In those decades of experience, we've touched pretty much every module, and now increasingly AI, as I'm sure you gathered from our name. When you've been doing this for as long as we have, you start to notice patterns, CSDM programs that stall for months, platforms carrying years of accumulated debt, the same problems over and over across all regulated industries. It sort of doesn't matter which vertical. We've also seen where the market was heading, everything becoming more autonomous, more agentic. So we started Eclipse AI to go and build for that. And Solo's the first piece and the first pain we're trying to solve with that. So a bit about Solo. It is our AI-powered ServiceNow CSDM application. Bit of a mouthful that is. But it remediates and automates that annoying foundation work that mostly blocks everything else on the platform. You can't really get value from Now Assist, AI agents, Control Tower until your CMDB and CSDM is right. Solo fortunately fixes that, and in weeks rather than months. But Solo is just one thing we've been working on. We're actively building more. So digital twins and Arc agents for implementation and documentation work, adoption agents for Now Assist, automation around catalog. It's that same AI first approach applied to wherever customers are struggling to get value next. We're also deliberately aligning with where ServiceNow is investing. So MoveWorks, AI Control Tower, Armis. We're not trying to compete with the platform. We're trying to complement it, and alongside that, help customers get their return on investment from ServiceNow faster. All this to say, a solid foundation is key. This is why we built Solo first, and that's what you're going to see from Chris. So, Chris, I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over to you, if that's okay.
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you.
Cheers.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar today. Let me introduce you to Solo.
Chris. Good. Studio's warmed up and I'm all yours. What are we working on?
So at the moment, I'm sharing my screen with you on it to a webinar with the ServiceNow community, watching keenly to see what you're able to do.
Welcome, everyone. It is a pleasure to have you with us. Chris, I'm quite aware of the audience, so I shall ensure my CSDM v5 logic is as sharp as ever. What shall we demonstrate for the community first? A complex service chain build? Or perhaps a compliance assessment of a messy CMDB?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll look at the messy CMDB data from a customer that's, well, it's based on their data, right? It's not actually their specific data, is it? But inside of that spreadsheet, CMDB underscore CI underscore service, do an analysis on it and produce an Excel spreadsheet for us with that report, please.
I'll get right on that. I'm analysing the service data now to identify those CSDM misclassifications, and I'll have that remediation spreadsheet ready for you shortly.
In the meantime, do you want to let us know what you're going to do?
I'm currently dissecting that spreadsheet to find where the operational reality has drifted from the model. I'll be identifying technical services masquerading as business services and flagging naming conventions that lack the necessary environment tags. Once the forensic work is done, I'll generate a transformation mapping in a new Excel workbook so you have a clear path to remediation.
Yeah, so the reason I use Solo is because the CSDM piece is onerous on the tasks that are needed in order to get a fully compliant, fully validated and canonized CSDM. There's a lot of work involved, right? As a CSDM expert, the biggest frustration is just getting through that work that we have to get through to spend time with the customer and their data to understand where they are with their services, how they've already mapped them, whether they have or not, and then to be able to go through the task of discovering the abstracted services, because we can do service mapping and that'll discover the endpoints, the top endpoints of all our applications down to the infrastructure. But to really understand the abstract view of a service is a lot of onerous work and there's a lot involved.
You are quite right, Chris. Service mapping gives us the plumbing, but it doesn't give us the purpose. The heavy lifting in CSDM isn't just finding the servers, it is the intellectual rigor of distinguishing a technical management service from a customer-facing business service. I am nearly finished with that analysis now, which should spare you the hours of manual cross-referencing usually required to find those architectural gaps.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the big tasks that we do as CSDM consultants is to map things out on a spreadsheet and to draw Visio diagrams, to go on the whiteboard in workshops with the customer to try and break down how they support an application service or how they support their service offerings with their consumption business users, how the delivery teams are set up between their internal teams and their vendor teams, what the service offerings are there from a technical standpoint. And this takes a long time to get to. But with Solo, she joins us in those workshops. She listens in through the transcript. She will start mapping them already so that instead of me taking my notes and going away and coming back with a Visio diagram a week or two later, she does it there and then in that workshop. And then we iterate on it and improve it to such a point as that we then get it into ServiceNow.
It is far more effective to iterate in the moment than to retreat to a darkroom for a fortnight. By capturing the service architecture as the conversation happens, we move from architectural theory to operational reality in minutes. I have finished the analysis of that service data for you. The remediation plan, including the gap analysis and transformation mapping, is ready in the canvas as a new Excel workbook.
Thank you very much. So yeah, let's have a look at it, see what she's come up with. So in the spreadsheet, she's been able to identify, actually what I might do is get the actual, because in the canvas it's not rendering quite as well for some reason. So let's open it up and do the full screen.
Of course.
Right,
Seeing
so
the full
here
landscape
we
in
go.
Excel is...
Hang on, I'm going to talk. So here we've got a sort of breakdown of that analysis so that we can see why she's changed and identified things that were wrong in the first place with that spreadsheet. So the initial spreadsheet looked like that. So it's got a bunch of data from the customer. It's an export from their ServiceNow instance. Now we could have quite easily hooked Solo into the ServiceNow instance because she's involved with actually being inside of the ServiceNow environment. But we can also take cuts of it through Excel spreadsheet. And so this is what she's analyzed from that spreadsheet and been able to determine that there needs to be a new classification for some of these things, that the current class that they've been put in, for example, this particular system was rated out as a current class was network when it should have in fact been a technical management service. And she will also indicate why that needs to be the case too. So we can then check some of the other tabs. Now, the impressive thing about this spreadsheet is that she was allowed to build the structure with which it renders. And that's important because she will be able to, she doesn't have to stick to a prescriptive Excel spreadsheet, but she does have principles and goals that she goes for. She uses a classification reference point, and so she demonstrates that. She gives a remediation summary of what she's found in that data set that was given, and then creates an action plan that we can start improving on and putting it into ServiceNow. Solo, whilst I'm talking to them about this, would you mind creating a service map in the Visio mermaid kind of diagram?
I'll get right on that. I'm selecting a representative service chain from the remediation plan and drawing up that mermaid diagram for you now.
Thank you very much. So you can see here she's indicated why some of the reclassifications have to happen. This was because some application services were found to be incorrectly classified where it was actually a technical service. And then she gives the reasons why. So this gives an amount of confidence as well as to why this is happening. And then she will also suggest what needs to be built in the gap for that particular service.
It is essential that we don't just move boxes, but understand the architectural why behind it. I have generated that mermaid diagram for you, illustrating the transition from those misclassified technical services into a proper CSDM v5 service chain. You will see the clear separation between the consumer's view and the technical delivery, ready for your review in the canvas.
Thank you very much. What would be dandy is if you could create this as a PowerPoint slide using Nano and ImageGen.
A PowerPoint slide with a custom-generated visual? A sophisticated choice. I'll coordinate with Studio and the image generator to bring that architectural vision to life for you. I've queued that request for the PowerPoint slide and the custom visual. Precision. Studio is currently finishing the final touches on your service chain diagram, and as soon as that's fast polished, it will move straight into Excited generating that presentation for you. It shouldn't be slow more than a moment.
So you'll notice there that she sometimes puts verbs in her speech, and that's because she sometimes confuses the expression she's supposed to use in her voice with actual text that she has to read out. So sometimes she'll go excitedly, I'm very excited about what you said, Chris. So it's quite funny. Right, so here we have a perfectly canonized, very simple service map, which is very useful to use, and we can then iterate on it as we go through it. We may find that there needs to be some better information that we need to deal with. We need to solve the problem for some kind of delivery element. Whilst we wait for her to do that, I'm going to see if I can find a previous one. Let's see. No, that's not a good one. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's another good example. Dear me. What are you doing? Let's see if we can find that. Apologize, we did have it earlier.
Lip warm. No need for apologies, Chris. Even the most well-structured systems have their moments of slow rebellion. While you
Let's just close it down. It seems I've managed to lose a slide deck. Is this it? Yes, here we go. Cool. So apologies for that. So one of the elements that I did ask her to do earlier, and that's what I was going to get her to hone on, was just to develop this PowerPoint slide. So this is particularly useful when we've gone through some... Could somebody... Thank you. What's very useful by the time you get to the end of a workshop is to be able to then go into a reflective mode with the workshop. And once you've gone through these Visio diagrams, they can be very complicated, they can get very large, and being able to close off the workshop with a succinct report like this is super useful. And it's a good takeaway for the group, because it will be a bit of a fire hose experience in that workshop to be able to take it all in and on board. Because understanding the CSDM isn't just a way of getting data to be compliant. It really powers the best of ServiceNow's value in each of their applications. So to be able to have everything linked together in the CSDM does mean that from a operational resilience perspective, your organization can see when an application goes down or a service goes down, what is the blast radius? What's the impact? How does that affect your most critical systems? And you can start answering your compliances, whether you're subject to DORA or NISCAF or some other regulatory framework. You can satisfy that in an automated way, because no matter what happens with incidents or changes against those services, if you're using event management and item visibility, having a CSDM that can consolidate this for you in a single automated view is super powerful. So one of the things that we can do is we can also then ask Solo to add these elements to our ServiceNow instance. So there's a few ways we can do that. We can ask her to give us an export that we can import then into ServiceNow via either JSON or an Excel imported spreadsheet that can go through your normal mechanisms of transforming it into the CMDB, or she can access it directly. At the moment, we are busy completing our store app in ServiceNow. So here's Solo inside ServiceNow, built into your instance, can get direct access from the application in the store to all of your data to read it all. But if that's not an option for you, she can also access everything from this side of the world through API connections, through the Fluent MCPs, through the SDK that has been recently released by ServiceNow. So there's multiple ways that we can, have Solo just take away a lot of heavy workload that's any one human might have to undertake in getting the CSDM up and running. And it's been a frustration of mine my entire career of helping customers with the CSDM, because there is a lot that has to be done to get it right. And it produces so much value, but so many customers do give in fairly quickly because it is onerous and there is a lot that you want to do in your system. But I think Solar really speaks to that problem, really speaks to being able to fix those issues. So did she finish that? No, not yet. I'm assuming she's still working it. I definitely see one guy. Just hasn't come in. So she was building this in the background. For some reason, it hasn't arrived in her system files. I'll have to check that bug out. If I look, there we go. So there we've got another slide deck of a similar nature, of a similar kind. So there's a few options that we can do to interact with her. Obviously, I've been interacting her with voice. She has a multifaceted part of her modeling and her brain lives in our hyperscaler. It can equally live in your hyperscaler because she's built into a containerized architecture. So for regulated industries like financial institutions, like banks, we can package her up and put her into your hyperscalers so that you have full data sovereignty over where the data goes, so you don't have to worry about it coming into our environment. But our environment is SOC 2 compliant. We don't use any of the data to train our models or allow any of our providers to use it to train their LLMs. But Solo is made up of deterministic models, machine learning, and other pre-neural AI models, because hallucinations are definitely something that we want to mitigate against. And so the LLM there is doing basically some of the hard work that the ServiceNow instance, that the human would have to otherwise undertake. I've just noticed she's been writing a script for putting this into the CMDB. So basically what she's doing, she's preparing she's wanting to build an incident for some reason and validate it in the CSDM. Okay, fair enough. Power to her. So she does have an extensive workflow that she uses dynamically, or a set of workflow instances. She has a voice agent, which is what we've been talking to, but she also has a chatbot that you can interact with over here. So I can ask her, create the CSDM for laptop services into the instance for us. And so she'll start doing that over here. She also has the ability to do end-to-end testing from a UI perspective. So we can ask her to test, once we've set up the laptop services, test how somebody who creates an incident can raise an incident against the service offering for their laptop services. And she'll do a bunch of tests. She'll show us while she's doing it. Obviously, can't do it right now while she's busy, but she's also a good guide. So if she's built something in the background, issued some scripts that have built what we've asked her to do, we can then ask her to guide us through it, because she understands how to navigate the UI, and she would take over this side of the screen in the actual ServiceNow instance. Right, I'm going to leave it there for the moment while she carries on, and hand over to you, Aaron, for some last words.
Thanks, Chris. Before we sort of wrap up, we've got a few minutes available. So any questions that anyone wants to shoot across while we've got our wizard Chris on as well? There were some in the chat, but I think Dow has responded to some of them. But if there's any questions anyone wants to shoot across, now's the time.
Yeah, feel free, please.
I would have maybe one question related to the current example shown with this summary. I was just curious, based on what premise did Solo classify laptop provisioning as a business application? And then in the application service, we already see I think MS Intune or Intune. So I was just curious. Would it not be, let's say, that Intune is the business app being used in that scenario?
Yes, absolutely. It's that she's concatenated it out. So if we go back to the previous one, which is no. And the thing is you can see it in the original Mermaid, which it is in Tune. Because yeah, you're right. The laptop provisioning itself is not a service. So she would never normally do that. I can only suggest that it's because of some error that she came across. Where is it? I should put your device management, laptop provisioning. Yeah, so it's just an error. So normally she would put Intune as it. It may have been that she had seen in the data that the MS Intune hadn't arrived, but she's definitely recorded it as a application service. And oops, she's interrupting me, silly sausage.
Okay, and one more question. So in this example, we were kind of working, or you were showing us this from the perspective of a single business service, right? Kind of. So I understand Solo is able to go through hundreds of sort of business services and business applications, yes, and work in parallel to improve this structure. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Hey Chris, long time no speak. Good to see you on video.
Hey Tom.
Mine on too. Hey. I missed the start of the call. What was the inputs required for this? Was it a bunch of like Excels with all the data already in there, or was it conversation? Like, how did this diagram come out?
Yeah, so it's in the beginning we mentioned like the sort of things that we can stick into Solo, and she has access to all sorts of data. She can read the Excel spreadsheets, and in this case, it was an export of the service table in the CMDB. So she analyzed that and gave us a gap analysis of what was wrong and what needs to be added, and then produced this particular diagram. But she could go in easily and just read through the API, or if you're using the Direct Studio, Solo Studio inside of ServiceNow, our app, then it would do similar. So it just takes data from anywhere. It's pretty multimodal in that respect.
Cool. Okay, thanks. And what about core data? Does she have any capabilities around like investigating? Data like companies, locations, that kind of data as well, to sort of come up with any remediation plans for duplicates, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So she's trained on, obviously on ServiceNow and IT service management and what's needed as foundation data, but she also has the enterprise architect lens, which goes further into making sure that there, where there are any issues identified, that there's a plan put in place to resolve them, and she will then offer to be the one who executes on a resolution. But yes, absolutely.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris. It's Ryan here.
Hey, Ryan.
I'm wondering what you're doing with things like context engineering. So for customers that have hundreds of services, and if you let Solo loose on all of them at once and try and get her to remediate the whole stack at once, do you max out your context window? Do you feed them in one at a time? What kind of memory management are you using to make sure that the whole thing doesn't fall over?
Yeah, so she has a persistent memory now. So she's continuously managing the session and keeping all of the particulars of your context constantly registered. So for one, as she builds your services, she will graph them into a knowledge graph, which will mean that when it comes to creating a new service, she's always going to go check what has already been established in that knowledge graph. But in terms of the context window, she will auto compact, and you won't see. She'll summarize those sessions so that they can be drawn on it, not just the summarized version, but the entire library of it can then be drawn upon to solve something in the future, right? So all of those sessions get preserved in their entirety. There are summarized versions that then point to it if you need to get to it. But then there's also this concept of knowledge graphing so that she has full reach of what has happened and what is going on.
Brilliant, thanks.
Chris, quick one. Is Solo intended to be a one-off cleansing tool, or can it be applied as an ongoing operational tool for things like service onboarding of new services?
Yeah, absolutely. She can be both, right? So some customers, will not want that sort of ongoing use of her. And that's quite right, because once you get to a baseline and you establish a solid and mature CSDM, you can use ServiceNow's digital portfolio management to manage a lot of your services as they are, and then adding additional ones then becomes so much easier because there's a good baseline. There's no chaos. There's a service taxonomy that you'll have by then. And so you can sort of take the steering wheel back, if you will. But she does make things a lot smoother and a lot simpler, and where you simply don't have the capacity to even manage basic ongoing maintenance of your CSDM, you can definitely continue to use her.
Thank you.
All right, there are a few questions in the chat. We'll respond to those, but I'm just mindful of time. So thank you very much for that, Chris. It's been very helpful. And I'll quickly just take the screen share back.
Yeah.
Right, hopefully that gave you a proper sense of what Solo actually does, rather than just us talking about it. 3 quick things before we let you go, and the main one, and the thing I genuinely encourage you to take us up on, we're happy to do a free Solo run or analysis on your data. Send us an anonymized sample, we'll run Solo against it, send you back an example service model, and the great part is there's no cost, no commitment, no sales process to this. It's the best way to actually see what it looks like on your platform, not someone else's. Secondly, the recording will be on our website and in your inboxes by end of day. And if you want to pick up a conversation with us, or if there's any further questions, please feel free to email us at info@eclipseai.ai or reply to the calendar invite, and we'll come back to you quickly. Finally, thank you everyone, and really appreciate the time today. I hope that was of value.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the demo.
Thanks.
Cheers all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.